Having some issues with my diesel heater. Just wondering if the exhaust is supposed to be glowing red like that. Oh, that's flames. I'm glad it was out here when that happened, because that could have been very bad. It's wonderful. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. A big thanks to everyone who's been following my journey of trying to burn waste motor oil in my diesel heater. I wouldn't be making these videos if it wasn't for you guys, and they do take a considerable amount of effort. So a big thanks to everyone who's been subscribing, leaving likes on the videos, and getting involved in the comment section. Also, a big thanks to everyone who's used my affiliate link to purchase one of these heaters. For those of you who don't know, I have an affiliate link. If you use that link to buy a heater, it helps me out as I get a small kickback. There is also a discount code in the description below, VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, feel free to check out the information in the description below. As per usual, I'm going to be doing some silly experiments with my heater, and I would recommend that you don't do the same. Doing what you see me do could get you injured, killed, cause damage to your property, or cause a complete loss of property, so just use your heater the way it was intended. In one of my last videos, in an attempt to try to get more heat in the burn chamber where the oil flows in, I ended up melting a bunch of copper, also melted some aluminum, and destroyed just about everything else that I put in there. But somewhere along the way, I ended up making this little swirl ring that I put in the burn chamber and then in the vaporization area where the oil flows in. This showed a little bit of potential, and I kind of skipped over it a little bit, but in this video, we're going to go back to this. I'm going to make a slightly different version of this, and we're going to see if we can't use, well, a piece of stainless steel jet ski part to make this heater work better. Okay, so the idea is to create another one of these, but to have a few of these fingers actually stick through, probably just two of them, stick through the opening of the burn chamber to try to carry some heat back into this piece. The idea is this piece is going to sit in there like this. Well, actually, this piece will replace this piece, and it will sit in there like this. The fingers will stick through that hole where the flame comes out and carry a little bit of heat, hopefully a whole lot of heat, back into this piece to help ignite the fuel and make it burn better. I actually have a slip roll, and that's how I made these shims, as well as how I made this part. But I can't fit this piece through the slip roll because I went and bent these things already, and now it won't go through. So I'm going to have to get creative. Let's test fit this in and see where we need to actually bend these pieces and where we need to remove them. Okay, it looks like I'm seated in there all the way. That's good news. So now, I need to figure out what I want to do with these fingers. Okay, that is basically the idea. Time to do a test fit. This could be the final fitment. So we'll make sure that I have the flame initiation hole lined up with the gap in the piece that I'm making here. See what we can do about sliding it in. It seems to be going in more difficult now than it did with all of the pieces on it. All right. Let's get this seated into place. Okay, that's just about perfect. Okay, so now what I need to do is fit the top piece on and see if I need to do any adjustments here. I'm guessing that I probably will. Oh wow. Okay. This is what it looks like inside of the burn chamber now. Hopefully those fingers carry a little bit of heat and don't completely block up the airflow. Time to put it back together and test it out. The thermocouple did break off. I had to glue it back on. This is the third time I've glued it on. Seems like it started up immediately, even though it started on oil. It was shut down on oil, so it won't get diesel for a few minutes. All right, it's making a lot of diesel smoke down here. Not sure why, but it's making quite a fuss. I guess perhaps I'm thinking maybe the pieces that I put in are a little bit too restrictive. That is a lot of diesel smoke. I believe I'm causing too much restriction inside of the chamber, but I'm gonna let this settle and see what happens. We'll see what these numbers settle down to. In the lower setting is where it should actually work best if I am restricting it too much. So I'm gonna slow it down to number 2, set a timer, and see what happens. Use a GoPro battery, they said. It'll be fine, they said. Yeah, I was using a GoPro battery. It made it down to 31% on the battery. And then my camera completely locked up, wouldn't record, wouldn't turn off. Anyway, this test was a complete failure, and a little bit more evidence pointing to the fact that if you cause too much restriction here, it will actually blow fuel back out through around the flame initiation hole. That looks like exactly what happened here. The fan was completely soaked with diesel. It was actually dripping wet. And the only diesel I can see around here is around the flame initiation hole. I can see there is an extreme amount of carbon from that short run time. It probably ran for less than 15 minutes and it is completely sooted up. So I'm going to have to modify this design. I'm taking a closer look at this now that I've removed the chamber, and I can see that this did not get any heat in it whatsoever. I ended up changing my mind and deciding to cut them all off except for one. So now I'm going to put it back together with this one and hope that it works a whole lot better than last time. I'm thinking about this more and realizing that it's probably stupid that I'm using a giant chunk of stainless steel with this little tab on it trying to heat up the giant chunk of stainless steel. What I should have is a lot less material. After a whole lot of cutting with a cutoff disc and then going at it with my Dremel with another cutoff disc, I now have this. I now have that fit in place. I am going to put this piece on, put the heater together, and then hope that this works a whole lot better than it did last time, because that was a substantial amount of work. You know the drill. Let's see what happens. This number looks promising so far, but that could change any second. What the heck is happening here? We have a burn chamber temperature of 244 in setting 4, heat setting 4, and the heat exchanger temperature is only showing me 140. So I don't know whether or not I should actually believe that. It was giving me some weird readings earlier and jumping around, but yeah, I don't know what to think. Okay, so it appears that my suspicions were correct, and there is actually a problem with the thermocouple that is connected to the ECU. I took the air inlet off and I'm using this infrared thermometer. There's the end of the heat exchanger, and the temperature is somewhere around 216, and that is reading 144. I have just bumped it to setting 6. It is at 237 degrees on the burn chamber, so we'll see what happens here. Hopefully it stays above 230, but we'll see. I would like to be able to run it at setting 6 because that's where I'm going to get the most amount of heat, and also where I'm going to be able to consume the most amount of fuel in the shortest amount of time, which will give me quicker results as to whether or not this works. Burn chamber temperature is 212, 211. So a lot lower than I would like it to be, but still better than it has been. I am going to shut down the heater now and take a look inside, because if we wait until it starts working poorly or shuts off altogether, we won't necessarily know why it did what it did. So it has dropped a little bit of performance, and I'm going to take it apart. We'll look inside and see if that piece has eroded away. There should be a little piece protruding out into the flame area, and I suspect that that piece has started to erode away. The first thing I have to say is that the exhaust is very clean considering how long it's run. We'll take this apart first, look inside, see what we're working with. Maybe it's perfectly fine and I am just worrying about nothing. The burn chamber temperature did seem to drop considerably from the time I started using it. Oh, that could be why. And it looks like the reason why is actually that soot or debris has started to build up. I want to show you guys how much crud is actually building up in a fairly short amount of time. Even though it's burning fairly hot, it is still creating a substantial amount of junk. And I don't think that this junk is from low burn temperatures. Now that I say that, I remember that the temperature when I took it apart was only around 212 Celsius, and the highest temperature that I saw was only 230 something. So looking in there, you can see there is some white sooty stuff. And quite interestingly, or interestingly to me, all of those pockets have formed right behind where the air holes are. I've drilled out 8 air holes, and in front of 3 of them that is where the little pockets of soot has formed. So this is the main one here. It has formed near the bottom of the chamber, but then there are two more off to the side. So I'll flip this around and we can see left will be right and right will be left when we flip it around, but you guys should be able to get the idea here. You can see there are two little clusters of soot or debris buildup on the right, and then the big one on the left. And we can see that from here. We got the big one on the right, and then the two holes here on the left. Interesting. All right, let's see what this is. I'm going to hit this with the torch. It is very airy. All right, I don't see anything happening. No smoke is coming off of it. It doesn't seem to be losing any volume. It's actually not as bad as I thought, but there is a little bit of buildup here around the protrusion, the part. This is the part that I was wondering about. I thought this part had probably been consumed by the flame, but it looks like it is still intact, so that is good news. All right, can I pull this out without wrecking anything? Seems as though I maybe can. Cool. It doesn't look like most of it has gotten very hot, and I probably have way too much I probably have way too much metal in here. It would be better off if it wasn't so massive. Massive meaning it didn't have so much mass. For the last 4 or 5 videos, I've been attempting to get more heat in the burn chamber where the oil flows in an attempt to make the oil flash off and burn more completely. Based on this video, I'm starting to wonder if we're not initially getting high enough temperatures to make the oil flash off and burn completely, but we're still getting a bunch of ash. That ash plugs up the burn chamber, causes the temperatures to drop, and that is where we are seeing the poor results from. So, we are going to continue on with this test. At the very least, we want to see if we can replicate these results, or maybe if we can get higher temperatures and see what those higher temperatures do. Are they actually going to make stuff better? Are they going to make stuff worse? Or is it just going to be exactly the same? Some of you may have seen my YouTube shorts where I've been injecting air with the oil to try to get a hotter, cleaner burn. Those tests were very much inspired by / completely stolen from one of my viewers named Lance. Lance has recently been helping me design a custom burn chamber, so a big thanks to Lance. You guys can look forward to seeing those videos. However, they may never see the light of day if this is a complete failure. I'm waiting for a few parts to complete that build, and then I'll have to do some testing, but I am very excited about it, and fingers crossed it actually works, and it is something that I can pass along so that you guys can do yourself. How fast can I do this? If you liked what you saw in this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss more of this nonsense, be sure to subscribe. If you want to pick up a heater that is similar to mine, I have an affiliate link in the description below. If you use that link, it helps me out. I get a small kickback. There is a discount code down there, VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. In an upcoming video, I'm going to be unboxing this ultrasonic cleaner from VEVOR, so if you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. That was fast.